Welcome everyone. So in this video, I want to share with you two really cool projects that will help you learn SQL, the structured query language that is the language that we use to query relational databases. So databases like MariaDB, PostgreSQL, MySQL, SQLite use this language called SQL or SQL, and this is a relatively simple language for querying and modifying the database structure. Now, if you're into learning this database language, I think these projects will make it really easy and fun to learn the syntax. The first one is called SQL Noir, and it provides, at the moment of the recording, 6 scenarios that you can solve. We have the beginner cases. I'm going to start with one of these cases, which is a relatively simple case to see how this works. And then you can move forward and unlock the rest of the cases, which are intermediate and advanced. I highly recommend that you create an account, which will help you retain your points. You're actually getting points as you unlock these cases. And you can also sign in and log in from another computer or another browser and continue your game or your cases from another computer or browser. And once you have logged in, you have signed up, it's free, it's online. You don't have to install anything. So I will start with the first case. Let's see how this works. So first you have a description of the case, the vanishing briefcase. Set in the greedy 1980s, a valuable briefcase has disappeared from the Blue Note lounge. A witness reported that a man in a trench coat was seen fleeing the scene. Investigate the crime scene, review the list of suspects, and examine interview transcripts to reveal the culprit. So in every case, you will see like a description of the case and the important parts that you should pay attention to. For example, we have the place where this crime was set, something about a man in a trench coat, so the suspect is probably wearing a trench coat. And then we want to go to the objectives. In here, the objectives work kind of like as a guideline or on how to proceed and how to start and move on with your investigation. The objective number 1 says retrieve the correct crime scene details to gather the key clue. So we first have to find some details about the crime scene. Before moving forward, let me explore the rest of the tabs. So next is the SQL workspace, which is basically your command line. This is where you will write your SQL commands and you will press execute or command or control enter to run the command. There is a database connection, so these commands will be sent to a database and you will see the results right here. So this is your playground. This is where you work. Next, we have the schema. It's really important. So these are the tables, the database tables. In this case, we have 3 tables: crime scene, suspects, and interviews. You can click and you can see the columns that make up these tables. So you can see here the crime scene has an ID, date, type, location, and description. Also the type for each column, we have numbers, integers here for ID and date, which makes sense. And then for type, location, and description, we have just text. We also have a graph view, which kind of like will show you the relation between these tables and their connections. So you can see, for example, that the suspects table is connected with the interviews table. So the ID, the suspect ID from the suspects table is used as a foreign key in the interviews. So when you find a suspect on the suspects table, you can search for an interview. You will see later what an interview looks like by the suspect ID. So you know that this connection relates to the same number, the same entity, a suspect. Next, we have the notes, which is a really cool way to keep some notes as you investigate. We will use this. And then, of course, we have the submit. So once you have your answer, once you find, let's say, the suspect, and you're sure about your answer, you submit, you unlock the case, and then you move on to the next cases. So I will start by going into the SQL workspace, and I will start, as the objectives say here, to explore the crime scene database. There's a crime scene database, so I will select all from crime scene, press Command or Control Enter, or you can click the execute here, and I see the results here. So we have a bunch of like crime scenes, locations. I see there is a location here. Now I know that the crime scene refers to this blue note lounge. So I will use another SQL command to narrow down my search. So instead of seeing all the entries from the crime scene, I will say where the location column like, and then I will use this syntax. We'll look for entries for rows in this table where the location column text is like contains these string characters. So this means there might be any character before the launch, any character or characters coming after the launch. So this will pick only the entries where the location has basically these characters. Let me run this. Indeed, I get two entries. We have like the airport lounge and the blue note lounge. So this is what is of interest to me. So once I get I run a query and I get something valuable, I go to the nodes, I copy the query that I used. So I go here, I store it on my nodes, and then I just copy this entry that will help me move on to the next step. I see here, okay, the type is theft. It's the blue note lounge. That's okay. A briefcase containing sensitive documents vanished. A witness reported a man in trench coat with a scar on his left cheek fleeing the scene. So I see there are two important clues in here. A man in a trench coat. So I keep it here. And also a scar on his left cheek. So we know that the suspect has these two characteristics. Next, I will go and see whether I can find something in the suspects table. I can also see here in the objectives, the next step is suggest that we identify the suspect whose profile matches the witness description. So it makes sense to start with a suspect table, the suspects. So first, let's just run simple select all from suspects. We see the table has like 4 columns: ID, name, attire, and scar. We see that the attire, okay, I got lucky, so there's a trench coat here. I know that I'm looking for a man with a trench coat. I'm also looking for a man with a scar on his left cheek. So I'm going to run a query to get the suspects that have these kind of characteristics. So I will say select all from suspects where attire equals trench coat and scar equals left cheek. And let's see what we get. Okay, I get 2 entries, both of them with a trench coat and a scar on their left cheek. So I have to do some more queries to see who's actually the suspect. I'm going to copy this, go back to my notes, and just copy and keep these clues that I got. So I have 2 suspects, Frankie Lombardi and Vincent Malone. These are their suspect IDs. And the next thing I can do is I can go and search into the interviews, or rather the interrogation table, and I can search by the suspect ID that I just got from the suspects, and I can see whether I can get some more clues about these 2 suspects. So I can go here and I will say select all from interviews. Let me just take a look at the structure. So we have just suspect ID and transcript. So I will narrow the search to just the suspect ID I'm interested, where ID equals, I think it was 3. This is how you use your notes, and 183. So let me check in the table for entries that the suspect ID is either 3 or 183. I get 2 entries, one for each suspect. You can see that for suspect ID 3, I don't have any transcript, but for the suspect with ID 183, I do get something that's really useful. It's basically the suspect admits that it stole the briefcase. So I know that the suspect with ID 183 is the thief, and that is Vincent Malone. So probably you want to continue, especially in the more intermediate steps, with searching your databases and your database tables to see whether you have actually pinpointed the suspect. Maybe I'm missing something here, but this is the first step, the first case, which is really easy. So I can get now the Vincent Malone. I can go here and I can submit my answer. And indeed, the case is solved. This is the suspect. So next, you will move on to the next case, which is the stolen sound. And as you unlock these cases, you will be getting some points. Let me refresh to see whether, yeah, you can see here that if when you solve a case, you will find a label here that says solved, but you have to be logged in and registered in order for the application to keep track of your points and your solved cases. So now, even though I solved the first case, it doesn't show any label here, which means that even if I solve the second case, I won't be able to unlock the next cases. So just log in, register and log in before you start the game in order to unlock the next cases. And of course, as you gain more of these X points, you will be unlocking more and more cases, and you will move on from beginner to intermediate cases and advanced cases. And I think there are more coming soon, which is really cool. So this is the SQL Noir. There's a GitHub repository. You will find the links, all the links in the description below. I highly recommend that you start the repository. So go on GitHub and start, just to say thank you to the author that provides this for free. The next game is called the SQL Murder Mystery, which is pretty similar to SQL Noir. It's just a single case, and what you have to do is you can go through this web page, run the queries inside the page, so there's no single like console for running the queries. You have different sections that describe and guide you through the process. You execute, you change your commands, and you run it, and you see the results here. So it will guide you with some first like steps, and then once you're ready, once you have gone through the first part, the setting up, you will keep yourself in this area, in this control or terminal. This is where you're going to be running the commands. And then once you get the suspect, I think you're also looking for a suspect here, you will be able to check your solution here. So when you find the name, you will insert the name here, and you will see whether you have the correct solution. Now, that's not the right person. When you get the right person, you will see a different message, of course. So you run your commands here, and the schema for the database can be found here. So we have quite more tables on this database with a lot of information. So study the schema, see the tables and the types of the columns and what information you probably need. And you can also click on this walkthrough, which is basically some information about the language. If you're not familiar with SQL or you're just beginning, this is the section that will help you, that will introduce you to SQL and will help you prepare for the game. So if you're beginner to SQL or you're just beginning, skip to the walkthrough, and there are some nice links here that you can start first learning the language and then going into the game to actually practice your skills. So there's a link about the game. Okay, we just saw this. This is another cool resource. So this is an online free interactive book that will help you learn SQL. So if you have absolutely no idea about SQL, start from here. You'll find this course will guide you through learning the language. So start from there and then follow the guide here, the walkthrough for in the SQL Murder Mystery page. So basically this is also like an introduction to what is SQL, what is a relational database, what is an ERD, the entity relational diagram, what is a query. So it's really nice introductory kind of like guide to SQL. Go through this. You can run and practice all the commands here, which is really cool. So these are commands that are actually connecting to a database, to a local database. So you can change them and try out different variations. Now this will probably give me like, yeah, a lot of results where ID equals 10,000. Let me see. So you can try it out. It's interactive. And then as you move forward, you will learn about all the different SQL syntax. And when you're done with this guide, it's pretty extensive, then you will go back to the mystery game and you will start solving the mystery by querying the tables that we just saw. This is really cool because there's also a part of the game that helps you actually learn the language before jumping into the game. There's also a GitHub repository for this project. Please start the GitHub repository. This is also free. And lastly, we have created kind of like a more atmospheric version of the murder mystery. This is basically the same thing. It's the same guide for SQL and then for completing the game, for solving the case. The only thing is that it has this nice dark atmospheric detective mystery looking theme. And at the bottom of the page where we are going to dive into the actual game. So this is where you're going to start exploring the case and investigating. We also have some kind of like atmospheric mystery music that you can start playing while you're solving the game. So it's all the same. It's just a different theme that will probably help you enjoy the game more. This is for this video. I hope you enjoy it. Last note is that these two games, the SQL Noir and the database, the Murder Mystery, are working based on two different dialects. So SQL Noir is based on Postgres database. So there's a Postgres SQL syntax, which is relatively different. Sorry, it's a little bit different than the SQLite. The Murder Mystery uses the SQLite database and hence the SQLite syntax. They're a little bit different. Just so you know, if you're going to search about or Google about some command, you will have to pick the syntax that works for these two games. I think this is a really fun and exciting way to learn SQL. And if you found other games or other sites or other projects that help you learn SQL in a fun way, please leave your comment and share any resources. I hope you enjoy and let us know in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe to support our channel. Thank you.